Your baby just finished feeding. You burped them, you rocked them, you did everything right, and they are still crying. And the first thought that hits you at 2 in the morning is always the same. They are still hungry, so you offer more milk. And maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but either way, you are left with that hollow feeling that you are missing something, that you are getting this wrong. What if I told you that your baby is not hungry at all? What if everything you were taught to believe in this moment is exactly backwards? Because here is the truth that most parenting books will never tell you. Your baby crying after feeding is not a hunger signal. It is a signal that their nervous system has just been pushed to its absolute limit, and the only thing they need right now is not more food, but more of you. Picture the scene. It is late, maybe 2 or 3 in the morning. You have been awake so long that tiredness has stopped feeling like tiredness and started feeling like something else entirely. You fed your baby for a full session. The latch was real, the swallowing was real. For a moment, peace, and then the crying starts again. Full, escalating, desperate-sounding crying that cuts through the quiet like a blade. Your brain, running on fumes, runs through every explanation at the speed of panic. Not enough milk. Wrong latch, gas, reflux, something wrong, and the simplest answer rises to the top, still hungry. So you offer the breast again, or you warm another bottle, and here is the critical moment that almost every parent misreads completely. Most parents in this situation carry 4 very specific beliefs. First, if a baby cries after feeding, they didn't get enough food. Second, if you are breastfeeding and baby cries after, something might be wrong with your milk supply. Third, post-feeding crying must mean gas, reflux, or digestive pain. Fourth, and most damaging, if you cannot fix the crying, you are failing. These beliefs are not wrong because you are wrong. They are wrong because we have been teaching parents the wrong thing about babies for a very long time. The model we were given, cry after feeding equals hunger equals more food, is built on incomplete information, because what is actually happening is not happening in the stomach. It is happening in the nervous system. Your baby's nervous system at birth is more incomplete than that of virtually any other mammal on Earth. A baby horse can walk within hours. A human newborn cannot lift their own head. This is not weakness. It is because the human brain is so extraordinarily complex that it cannot finish developing before birth without the skull becoming too large to pass through the birth canal. What this means practically is that your baby arrives in the world with a brake pedal that doesn't fully work yet. The autonomic nervous system has 2 branches. The sympathetic system, your fight or flight response, activates when things feel overwhelming. The parasympathetic system brings you back down to calm. In adults, these 2 systems toggle back and forth in a smooth, learned, neurologically mature dance. Your newborn does not have that dance yet. Research in developmental neuroscience has shown that the ventral vagal complex, the part of the parasympathetic system governing social calm, is profoundly underdeveloped at birth. The myelination of the vagus nerve, the primary highway of the calming system, is incomplete for months after birth. Once your baby's nervous system gets going, they have almost no ability to bring themselves back down. They cannot self-regulate. They depend entirely on you. Now let's look at what a feeding actually is, because it is not the simple, calming event we assume. Think about everything happening simultaneously during a breastfeeding session. Touch receptors activating all over the baby's skin. The specific smell of the caregiver flooding the limbic system. Sound, the room, your breathing, your heartbeat. your face filling their entire visual field at exactly 8 to 12 inches away. Proprioceptive input from being held and repositioned. Temperature changes. The physical engagement of the suckling reflex working the jaw, tongue, throat, and diaphragm. Digestive sensations as milk enters the gut. That is 7 distinct sensory systems firing at the same time. Research on newborn sensory processing has found that infants reach a state of sensory overload far more quickly and with far less stimulus than older children or adults. Studies show that cortisol, the primary stress hormone, can reach levels 2 to 3 times higher than baseline in newborns after a feeding, and these elevated levels can persist for 20 to 40 minutes after the feeding ends. 20 to 40 minutes. The storm that a feeding generates inside your baby's body does not stop when the feeding stops. Here is the twist that reframes everything. When your baby cries after feeding, they are not asking for more food. They are telling you that their nervous system has reached its maximum capacity for input and that they need co-regulation, not nutrition. They need your regulated nervous system to help bring theirs back down. And here is what makes this even more fascinating. Sometimes, when you offer more milk to an overstimulated baby, they do latch on, and the crying slows. And you think, see, they were hungry. But what is actually happening in that moment is not satiation. The rhythmic, repetitive physical sensation of suckling activates the parasympathetic nervous system directly. It lowers heart rate. It reduces cortisol. Your baby is not feeding. They are using the physical mechanism of suckling as a regulatory tool. This is why non-nutritive suckling, a pacifier, a gentle fingertip, even an empty breast, can be so profoundly effective after a full feeding. The baby does not need milk. They need the regulatory effect of the suckling pattern itself. There is one more layer that parents almost never hear about, and it changes everything about what happens in those post-feeding moments. Your baby is not just receiving food during a feeding. They are receiving a continuous broadcast of your nervous system. Research has shown that when a caregiver is anxious, elevated cortisol, muscle tension, changes in breathing rhythm, and microshifts in vocal tone. All of this is communicated directly to the baby and received as a signal of danger. The baby's cortisol rises, their sympathetic system activates, their capacity for regulation drops. This creates the loop that makes those long nights so relentless. Baby cries after feeding. Parent becomes anxious. Anxious parent offers more feeding. Overstimulated baby receives more stimulation, including the caregiver's anxiety. Baby escalates. Parent becomes more anxious, and the cycle deepens, each feeding further into the night more difficult than the last. Understanding this loop is not about blame. It is about clarity, because once you can see it, you can step outside of it. So, what does your baby actually need after a feeding when the crying starts? Simple, predictable, repetitive rhythm. Rocking, swaying, walking. Rhythmic vestibular input has a direct neurological connection to the parasympathetic system and is one of the most powerful regulatory tools available to a newborn. Reduced stimulation in other channels, dimmer lights, quieter sounds, no additional complex sensory input, close physical contact, the warmth and pressure of being held, which activates pressure receptors in the skin and releases oxytocin in both baby and caregiver. And you're calm. Not performed calm, but as much genuine calm as you can access. You're slow breathing, your lowered shoulders, the conscious decision to treat this not as a crisis to be solved, but as a communication to be heard. The meaning underneath all of this is something that goes far beyond neuroscience. When your baby cries after feeding, they are telling you they trust you enough to show you their overwhelm. They are not manipulating you. They are not testing you. They are doing the only thing they know how to do, which is to send the signal and wait for you to come. And every time you come, every time you hold them and rock them and simply stay present in the noise of their distress, you are answering that signal. Research by neuroscientist Alan Shore has shown that the quality of right brain to right brain communication between caregiver and infant in the first years of life shapes the architecture of the stress response system for a business lifetime. It shapes the development of the prefrontal cortex. It shapes the internal blueprint of whether the world is safe and whether other people can be trusted. You are not just getting through a hard night. You are building the neural scaffolding for a lifetime of emotional health. And you do not need to do it perfectly. As Donald Winnicott understood, babies do not need caregivers who are always perfectly attuned. They need a relationship where ruptures are followed by repair, where you lose the thread and find it again, where the lesson that gets encoded is not that the world is always smooth, but that when things fall apart, someone comes back. One soft warning before we close. While the most common cause of crying after feeding in a healthy newborn is nervous system overload, some situations do deserve medical attention. Gastroesophageal reflux can cause real physical pain during and after feeding. Watch for back arching during or after feeds, crying that worsens when baby is laid flat, and spitting up more than usual. Protein allergies can also cause gastrointestinal discomfort that looks like post-feeding crying. If your baby is growing well, gaining weight appropriately, and the crying calms with the regulatory strategies above, overstimulation is a very likely explanation. But if your gut is telling you something feels different, something feels medical, trust that instinct and get it checked. Parental intuition is not soft or vague. Studies have shown that parents detect subtle signs of illness in their babies with accuracy that outperforms clinical checklists. Your intuition is data. If you have been that parent standing in the dark at 2 a.m, offering more milk because you did not know what else to do, this is not a moment for guilt. This is the kind of knowledge that changes the next time. Share this with another parent who is in the middle of it right now, sitting alone, feeling like they are failing, when all they are actually doing is being human in the face of something nobody fully prepared them for. Leave a comment and tell us, has this happened with your baby? Does understanding the regulatory role of suckling change how you see those moments? Your baby cannot speak yet, but they are always communicating, and we are here to help you hear them.